Hi, welcome back to Flipping Pages, Stirring Sauces. My voice a little bad today. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the people who have subscribed, who have liked, and who have shared. Your support means a great deal to me, and we will be continuing with Mourning in Silence, which was written by me. And as I've said before, the recipe for the banana bread is in 2 segments ago. So if you want to try that, I will definitely be making banana bread with you at some point in the near future. And as I've said before, the topic for this platform was, not the topic, the title for this platform was born out of my love for cooking, baking, eating, reading, writing, and being a mom. Anyway, I'm gonna jump right in. Shout out to my godson. I'm gonna jump right in, and we'll pick it up at chapter 6. The food aversion started right away. I also developed a cough that went on almost nonstop for months. I was urinating every 5 minutes, and I developed a severe case of spitulum, which forced me to walk around with Ziploc bags. My diet consisted of plain rice, lettuce, water, dry bread, crackers, and rice cakes. The blander the food, the better it was for me because it was easier to eat. Everything else tasted like vinegar and caused me to retch. The smell of food was nauseating. Any kind of smell made me feel I was on a constant merry-go-round. I felt miserable. Sleep was my only relief. I did not feel sick and miserable when I was asleep. I was coughing and had to wear feminine napkins constantly because urine escaped every time I coughed. Walking was a challenge because I felt dizzy most of the time. I felt I was going to fall over. On the 1-year anniversary of the loss of my baby, I was feeling miserable, dizzy, and uncomfortable. I thought about what I had gone through to get pregnant and my grief over the loss of my baby, but not even that prevented me from going to see my gynecologist and telling him that I could not go through with the pregnancy. As I lay on the examining table, I said to him, I want this baby out now. I cannot function. I am living in a world that is constantly spinning. I cannot eat, and everything is making me sick. I was 8 weeks pregnant. The doctor examined me, made notes, measured my belly, and then did an ultrasound. He did not try to persuade me one way or the other. He just did the ultrasound. Looking back, I think he was trying to tell me, here's what is inside of you right now. You decide if you want to kill it or let it live. I took a good look at the monitor, and I saw my child move its tiny little arm. I saw little buds that would become fingers. I saw legs and little buds that would become toes. I saw a head, and I saw veins, and that was enough to convince me that I wanted my baby. I had to flip my way of thinking and convince myself that what I was going through was temporary. I think that by moving its arms, it was my baby's way of saying, hi, Mom, I am alive, and this is not going to last forever. Just to be patient with me. I silently promised my child that I would love and protect it, no matter what happens. I have never been a supporter of abortions for any reason. Despite what I said to the doctor, an abortion had never entered my mind. I think that I was looking for some reassurance that I would feel better, and that happened when I saw what was growing inside of me. Seeing my baby on the monitor got me thinking about all the abortions that I had read about and the women who have abortions well beyond this point in their pregnancy. I know that the law gives women the right to terminate their pregnancy at this stage and even beyond this stage. It became clear to me at this point that abortion at this stage and beyond is legal murder, and murder by any other name is still murder. People will hate me for saying this, but the law does give me the right to my opinion. I believe in a woman's right to choose. I believe that she has the right to choose the type of birth control that she wants prior to laying down with a man and becoming pregnant. If she lies down unprotected and becomes pregnant, her choice has been made. She has chosen to become pregnant, and she does not have the moral right to destroy the life that is growing inside of her. Some people will argue the case of rape. I've said it before, rape is of faith worse than death, and I do not wish it on anyone. But a child is an innocent gift from the Creator, and a child should not have to pay for the sins of its father with its life. Some people will argue by citing physical deformities and mental challenges. These children are special gifts from the Creator and should be treated as such. I can think of several in my own family, and they are some of the most brilliant, talented people that I've ever come across. Some people ask, when does life begin? As far as I'm concerned, there is no mystery there. If your baby is communicating with you, it is alive. What do I mean by communicating? Your baby's first communication with you might be a missed period. That is your baby's way of saying, I exist and therefore I am. Another way might be morning sickness, sensitive breasts, food aversions, and a bleeding nose. These are some of the ways that your baby chooses to tell you, hey, I'm alive. It is my opinion that there is no such thing as an accidental pregnancy. However, there are careless pregnancies. This leads me to my next point. In this day and age of AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases, some of which are a death sentence, people should become abstainers or use a condom if they're not in a committed long-term relationship. If you are in a relationship that does not allow you to trust your partner, you need to get out of the relationship or protect yourself. You can do that by asking your partner for his or her full medical history. And I do not mean a verbal history. Go with your partner to get a sexually transmitted disease test. If your partner cares about your well-being, he or she will not refuse. For the younger readers, there's nothing wrong with holding on to your virginity until you're married. It is cool to be a virgin. Once your virginity is gone, you cannot get it back, and that goes for males and females. Finally, there are other options. I have met at least 3 people who are of my mother's generation who are the product of rape. Their mothers bonded with them during the pregnancy and decided to keep them, partially because at the time these women did not have any other choice. These people are well aware of how they got here. Loved by their mothers, they became outstanding citizens in their communities, and they're grateful that their mothers chose life for them. In my work as an adjuster, I came across many women who confided in me about their lives in third world countries that are torn apart by war and ongoing conflicts. They were victims of rape, who kept their babies, cared for them, and loved them as if they had been planned and wanted. If you're not able to provide for the child, perhaps another family member can, one who will be willing to adopt the child. There's also good old adoption by a stranger. We need to rethink our ways and also keep in mind that those amniocentesis tests are not foolproof. We have a very good friend who took this test because she was over 35 when she became pregnant with her second child. The test showed that the child would be born with a severe case of Down syndrome. Our friend and her husband were given the option to abort, but they accepted the diagnosis and decided that no matter what was wrong with the baby, they were keeping it. They went home, said a prayer, and when the baby was born, he was a healthy baby boy with no signs of mental or physical challenges. If they had gone the other way, they would have murdered a normal, healthy baby. The image of my baby on the monitor brought that story to mind. This may upset some, but if this helps to save the life of one child, my job is done. After viewing the ultrasound, I told the doctor that I did not want my baby out. I just wanted to feel better. He assured me that I would start feeling better around the 17th week. I felt happy and excited when I left the doctor's office, but a part of me was still feeling guilty and sad about the baby that I had lost. I tried talking to Benjamin about it when I got home, but he just shrugged it off. To me, he had simply accepted the loss and had had a good cry and had forgotten about it. I wished I could get to where he was, but it was not happening for me. I was well past 17 weeks in my pregnancy, but my diet was still the same. The coughing had subsided a little, but everything else remained the same. I lost 10 pounds, but the baby was growing. My doctor told me that my condition would get better at 20 weeks. I looked forward to reaching 20 weeks. It came and went, and my diet was cut even more because I could no longer eat lettuce. As the pregnancy progressed, I started waddling and limping because the baby was weighing on my sciatica nerve. My gynecologist threatened to hospitalize me and feed me through a tube because my diet was down to bread and water only. The blander the bread, the happier my taste buds felt. To avoid being hospitalized, I started drinking Ensure. It was great for about 2 weeks, but then it started feeling heavy like rocks in my stomach, and I had to stop drinking it. The next milestone was 27 weeks. Rice and rice cakes were added back into my diet, but nothing else. It was February 2002, in my 6th month of pregnancy. We were at a friend's wedding and got home after midnight. We were still all dressed up and taking pictures of my belly. Vincent was in his bed sleeping. The phone rang. Benjan and I looked at each other because we knew that it was not good news. It was Benjan's sister saying that their father had suffered a heart attack and was on his way to the hospital. Benjan left in a hurry. I was worried about him because he was driving across the 401 from North York to Mississauga, and he was not in a good state of mind. I prayed that his journey there and back would be a safe one. I was worried about his dad and had a feeling of foreboding. I called my father to tell him what was happening. He told me to light a white candle and say a prayer. I found candles of every color except white. I was getting frustrated because I knew that we had white candles. They were right in front of me, but I could not see them. When the phone rang again, I knew that my wonderful father-in-law was gone. I can still hear Benjan's voice saying, "He didn't make it." He was crying, and I wanted to comfort him, but I could not be with him because I was home with our child. I called my father and told him that Dad did not make it. I've never heard my father cry, but I think that he did that night because he lost a friend, and I lost my beloved father-in-law, whom I adored. My house was quiet, too quiet. I sat with my memories and thought about the last time Benjan and I had gone to dinner with him. He told us about his life growing up in Malta. He talked about working on cruise ships, traveling the world, working as a hairdresser. He talked about how he had courted his wife. He talked about his proposal to her and how she had never accepted nor rejected it. But they still got married. He talked about their wedding night and how much he had loved and adored her. We talked and laughed until he cried because he missed her so much. I remember the story about him being in such a hurry to get to the hospital when Vincent was born that he forgot to pick up his sister-in-law on the way to the hospital. When we teased him about it, he said, "I was in a hurry to meet my grandson." He said it in a Maltese accent. I can't do a Maltese accent. He was so excited when we told him that we were going to have another baby. He held my face between his two hands and kissed my forehead and said, in his Maltese accent, "Congratulations. You don't look pregnant." 3 months later, while ballroom dancing, which was one of his great loves, he died from a massive heart attack in the same room where he was when we told him about the baby. He died before the ambulance arrived to take him to the hospital, but this was not communicated to us during the initial phone call. My mind drifted to the recent past, and I remembered that he had called me just the day before for no reason other than to say, "Hello, how are you? I am in your neighborhood." I invited him to come over for dinner, but he declined, saying, "I have to go home and make dinner for the girls." That was my last conversation with him, and I will never forget it. I would later learn that family members thought he knew he was going to go because he had visited and spoken with a lot of people that day. He died 6 years and 1 month to the day that his wife died. We often joke that they chose to die on the same date because they did not think that we were capable of remembering more than one date. There's a little love story that goes along with his death, but that is for his children to tell if they choose to do so. I miss him, and I love the memories. In April of 2002, my 30th birthday rolled around. My 38th birthday rolled around. After Ben John left with Vincent to take him to the babysitter, I took my shower, got dressed, and came downstairs. I was alone in the house, and it smelled like I was walking through a rose garden. I thought that maybe Ben John had bought me roses for my birthday and had hidden them somewhere in the house. I searched the entire house, including the basement and garage, looking for the roses, but I could not find them. While still enjoying this sweet scent, I called Ben John at work and told him that I could smell the roses, but that I could not find them. "I did not buy you roses," he said. I thought that he was joking because the scent of the roses was so strong in the house. When I hung up with Ben John, I could feel, not hear, but feel my father-in-law saying, "Ben John didn't get you those roses. I did." I thanked him and enjoyed the sweet scent of his roses. Chapter 7. I was in my 37th week of pregnancy, and my diet was still the same: bread, water, and bland rice. The only thing that was changing was the size of the baby and the shape of my stomach. After my checkup with the doctor and before he could give me another target date, I said to him, "I have resigned myself to the fact that my diet is not going to change, and I am going to be uncomfortable for the duration of this pregnancy." He agreed with me and told me that my being under so much stress is not good for the baby. He went on to say that he would be recommending that I go on disability. He was right. I was experiencing a great deal of stress because the people I worked under were giving me a very hard time. That is all I am going to say about that issue for now. My doctor was also concerned that I was limping and that my leg could give out at any time, resulting in a fall. Before I went off on disability, I brought my desk up to date so that I could leave with a clear conscience. People were surprised to hear that I was going on disability as a result of my pregnancy, because most of them did not even know that I was pregnant. The neighbors thought that I was only 3 months pregnant. Throughout my pregnancy, Vincent kept telling people in the supermarket that mommy has his little sister in her tummy. Some would say, "That's nice, congratulations." Others did not believe him because I did not look pregnant. Others just gave him a strange look. In my 38th week of pregnancy, I was at home and feeling bored. I spent an entire day cleaning the house from top to bottom. The next morning I went into labor at 4 in the morning. I got up and decided that I was going to do the laundry. That morning Benjon had a meeting with our contractor to do some repairs on the house and was supposed to go to work and was supposed to go into work for half the day only. But when I went into labor, he called to tell them that he would not be in for the rest of the week. I washed all of the linen and clothing, including the clean ones. At noon the phone rang. It was our good friend, Stephen Ross Bride. May the Creator rest his soul. He has a habit of popping in and out of our lives on a regular basis. He had been away for almost a year working on a cruise ship and was constantly sending us postcards from all over the world, but he had no idea that I was pregnant. "Hi, how are you guys doing? Is it okay if I pop by for a visit?" he asked. "Of course you can pop by for a visit, but I'm in labor," I said. "What? I didn't even know you were pregnant. You can't be in labor, or you would be at the hospital. Stop yanking my chains. What are you wearing anyway?" "I'm wearing too much. I've been doing laundry, and it's making me hot," I said. "Women in labor don't do laundry. I will see you in 15 minutes. I went back to doing the laundry, sat down and did some breathing exercises, all the while keeping track of my contractions. Just before Stephen Ross arrived, I sat down with Vincent and I said, "Vincent, what if mommy has a baby brother instead of a baby sister in her tummy?" He said, "We will slap him and send him back." I was concerned and worried because I did not know why he had said that or where it had come from. I said to him, "No, Vincent, we cannot do that." As I said the words, I prayed in my heart for a girl. When Ross arrived and saw me, he said, "Oh my gosh, you really are preggo." The editor changed things on me here again. What he said was jumpings. He had a way of saying jumpings. "You really are preggo." He hugged me, kissed my cheek, and handed me the bag of goodies that he had collected for Vincent in different parts of the world. He was conversing with Benjon and playing with Vincent, but he was uncomfortable and kept asking, "Shouldn't you be in the hospital?" I replied, "No, I'm right where I want to be." Every time I had a contraction, he just giggled and giggled because he was so nervous. He did not know what else to do. It appeared that the workers who were making the repairs to the house realized I was having contractions and could not wait to get out of the house. They, as well as Ross, were afraid that they would have to assist in delivering the baby. Never before have I seen grown men looking so nervous. Ross finally relaxed, and we had a good visit, looking at all the pictures that he had taken in different parts of the world and listening to the stories that went along with the pictures. He played on the floor with Vincent, and we talked about his plans for the future. After sharing a nice dinner with Benjon and Vincent, he left. I drank a lot of water throughout the day, but I had not eaten anything since dinner the night before. I remembered what had happened with the veggie submarine 3 years before, and I had no plans to have a repeat performance. I finally finished the laundry and checked my overnight bag in preparation for going to the hospital. At 8 in the evening, I took a warm shower. Oh boy! I was in the shower when my contractions started coming 2 minutes apart. They were severe, so I quickly scrubbed myself down, got out, put body lotion on, and checked Vincent's bag to make sure that he had everything he needed. I told Benjon that it was time to go. On the way, we stopped at my mother's place to drop Vincent off and then drove to the hospital. I was in severe labor and my contractions were consistently 2 minutes apart. We arrived in the hospital parking lot, exited the car, and walked towards the entrance of the hospital. We were about 100 meters away from the front door when the pain became very intense. I sat down on a concrete ledge where I was standing and decided that I was not moving. Oh my goodness. Benjon checked with me to make sure that the baby was not coming and went to get a wheelchair. He helped me into it and wheeled me past the registration desk. We bypassed the registration desk because I had registered 3 weeks previously. I was taken into a labor room. The medical staff had my chart from when Vincent was born. They read it and did not give me the authorization form to sign. They knew that I would not sign the form and would therefore deny them the rights that protect them. That also meant that I would be left out in the cold should something go wrong. Only essential staff was involved in my care. Before leaving the house, Benjon had called his brother and sisters to tell them I was in labor. They were already in transit by the time we left home, so they arrived at the hospital shortly after we did. When the doctor examined me, I was almost fully dilated, so they moved me into a delivery room, which looked more like a bedroom suite. I was happy that my donation to the hospital had been put to good use. My sister-in-law Sonia and my sister-in-law Vanessa and her boyfriend Peter came into the delivery room to check on me. Sonia was videotaping, and we were all joking and chatting to pass the time. Their presence forced me to be more restrained than during the first delivery and able to conceal the degree of pain that I was feeling. My gynecologist was not on duty that night, so I was treated by a lady gynecologist who appeared cranky and unpleasant. I do not know if it was because they woke her up to deliver the baby, but that is the impression that she left me with. Unlike my first delivery, I requested a mirror so that I could view the entire procedure. Peter was politely asked to leave the room while I was still dressed, but I allowed my sisters-in-law to stay. My water was gently broken by the doctor, and this time Benjon was not covered in amniotic fluid. Filming was not allowed during the actual delivery. It was time to start pushing, and based on what I remembered, I thought I was pushing correctly. I was surprised when the doctor yelled at me, "Do it properly like you did before! You're using up too much energy moaning and groaning, and not enough on pushing." I did not want to annoy her further, so I did not make any sound at all and focused on pushing into my backside as they were instructing me to do. Then, for no apparent reason, she said to me, "Stop pushing." My private parts were burning as if they were on fire because the biggest part of the baby's head was almost out, yet she wanted me to stop pushing. A part of me wanted to ignore her and get it over with, but I listened to her because she was the doctor. I was relieved when she instructed me to start pushing again. It was 11:42 p.m. when Vincent's baby sister came sliding out. She looked so pretty. I do not think she liked being out because she was fussing a little. I was happy that I finally had my baby girl, and then someone said, "It's a boy." I felt disappointed and worried all at the same time. Benjon was cutting the umbilical cord and I was crying. I did not know what I was going to tell Vincent or how he was going to react. The doctor, who did not know why I was crying, yelled at me, "I have 4 girls at home. Do you want one of them? I will take him." I just thought to myself, you are just a hypocritical grouch who has 4 girls and you keep chasing the dream of having a boy and he keeps eluding you. My nurse was nice and professional. She wrapped the baby up and gave him to me. He was soft and pink and looked pretty, like a girl. He looked a lot like Auntie Mary, Benjon's aunt. We agreed to name him Albert. Everybody went home and I was left alone with Albert. But I had this uneasy feeling that I was being watched. I picked my beautiful son up, kissed him, breastfed him, burped him, and put him to sleep. I tried to sleep, but I could not. I stood over him for a long time, stroking his little cheeks as he slept. I was in love with my child, and I remember the promise that I had made to him when he was an 8-week-old fetus. I had promised that I would protect him no matter what the cost, and I meant it. The next morning I got confirmation that I was being monitored because the doctor was concerned about my initial reaction to the baby. I did not care because I alone knew what I had gone through to have this child, and I would have done it again in a heartbeat because he had already brought so much joy into my life. He arrived 2 weeks early and weighed almost 7 pounds. I am still trying to figure out how that happened, because the day before I delivered, I weighed only 3 pounds more than when I became pregnant. I lost 20 pounds after I delivered. Later that morning, when Vincent and Benjon arrived at the hospital, I said to Vincent, "Mama didn't give birth to a baby sister, you have a baby brother." He looked at Albert, who was sleeping, and said, "That's okay. We'll keep him. He's cute." I felt immediately relieved. Vincent was so happy about his baby brother that he accidentally banged the back of his head on the windowsill, splitting the skin open. Blood gushed out. Benjon grabbed him, applied pressure to it, and ran down to the emergency room with him. I could hear his screams all the way to the elevator. They stitched him up and he was fine. I was happy that Albert arrived earlier than anticipated, which would have been on the due date of the baby that we had lost. I do not think I could have handled a birthday on that date. 2 weeks later, I silently mourned the loss of the child whom I will never hold, whose cheeks I will never kiss, or to whom I will never tell a bedtime story. I take comfort in the fact that this baby existed and was loved, even if it was just for a short time. I no longer live in the place where guilt resides, but I still mourn my child in silence on October 14th, the day that I lost her, and on June 16th, the date when she should have been born. Something strange happened this year. I did not realize it was October 14th when I had this overwhelming desire to discuss our lost child with my husband. I knew that it was a forbidden topic, but I brought it up anyway. I was surprised when my husband admitted that he still thinks about it and that he still grieves. By acknowledging these feelings, he has helped me tremendously, because I now know that our child mattered to him and that I have not been mourning alone. We've just been mourning in silence. We even discussed it with Albert and Vincent. I now see the good in all of this, and I no longer question what the lesson was. I will no longer say, "Why me?" I will say, "Why not me?" When we pray to our Heavenly Father, we say, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." But do we really know what we're saying? We're asking for His will to be done, but what we really want is for Him to do our will right now, yesterday, or last week. If we trust Him, He will make all things clear when He's ready. Heavenly Father, I thank You for all that You've blessed me with. I thank You for all that life has given me, but most of all, I thank You for my husband and my beautiful, healthy children. I accept these blessings in Your precious name, and I know that You're with me always. And that is the conclusion of Mourning in Silence. I hope that you've enjoyed it. And if anyone would like a copy, you can email me, and we can make arrangements for you to purchase a copy. The next, where did I put it? I had it here. Well, anyway, Making of a Slave, the Willie Lynch letter. That will be the next book that will be featured. And as I've said before, if you have enjoyed your time with me, please like, subscribe, and share. And even if you didn't enjoy your time with me, I humbly ask you to like, share, and subscribe. I wish you Baruch and Shalom.